So, could a cheap weapon really take down a $100 million F-35 fighter jet? That's the question at the heart of a massive debate that's been raging online. It's all about something called an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, basically a burst of energy that can fry electronics. And all that talk led so many of you to ask a really, really good question. And you know what? That is a fantastic question. I mean, think about it. If it's really that simple to take down one of the most advanced jets ever built, why aren't we seeing them just drop out of the sky over conflict zones? Well, let's break down the reality behind the hype. All right, so first things first, let's get one thing straight. The basic idea, it's actually true. A powerful enough EMP, fired at point-blank range, would flood the F-35 circuits with so much electricity that its processors would literally melt. We're talking catastrophic failure. But, and this is the most important part, that is a huge, huge if. You see, there's this massive gap between what sounds cool in a movie or works in a lab and what's actually effective on a battlefield. And to really understand why, we have to look past the Hollywood myths and get into two brutal realities: the laws of physics and modern military strategy. Okay, let's start with the single biggest deal breaker for the cheap EMP weapon theory. And this isn't a guideline or a suggestion, it's a non-negotiable law of the universe. It's called the inverse square law, and it sounds complicated, but you actually experience it every day. It's the reason the sun feels nice and warm from 93 million miles away instead of, instantly vaporizing us. But for an EMP weapon, this law is an absolute killer. Just look at how fast the power collapses. It doesn't just fade away, it plummets. If you double the distance from the weapon, you don't get half the power, you get a quarter of the power. For any weapon that works by shooting energy, this is a massive, massive problem. And here's what that means in the real world. If you can get an EMP within 500 meters of an F-35, you're hitting it with 15,000 volts. Yeah, that's an instant kill. Game over. But just back off a few kilometers, and the power drops so fast, it might just cause a system reboot. And once you're out past 20 kilometers, the energy is so weak, the F-35's built-in shielding just shrugs it off. It's harmless. So, here's the number that changes everything: 12 kilometers. That's about 40,000 feet, and it's the typical cruising altitude for an F-35. From way up there, a ground-based EMP has about as much effect as you pointing your TV remote at it. Seriously. To actually zap it from the ground, you need a weapon so powerful it would basically require its own nuclear power plant just to turn on. Okay, so the immediate counter-argument, and it's a good one, is, fine, you can't hit it from the ground, why not just strap the EMP to a drone and fly it up there? And that takes us from the world of physics right into the world of military strategy. Most of our ideas about air combat come from old war movies or video games. The plane flies right over the target, drops a bomb, boom. But in reality, that's almost completely outdated. The modern reality is something called standoff doctrine. A jet like the F-35 doesn't even have to cross into an enemy's airspace. It can launch smart bombs and guided missiles from hundreds of kilometers away, well outside the range of local defenses. And then it just turns for home. And I love this analogy from the source material because it just nails it. The F-35 isn't going to fly into your little local EMP trap. It's not even in the same zip code. It's attacking from the deep, far, far beyond the reach of your defenses on the coast. So that brings up another really smart question. If all these electronic weapons, things like jammers or GPS spoofers that send fake signals, if they aren't actually knocking F-35s out of the sky, then what's the point? Why are countries pouring billions into them? It's because success isn't measured in downed aircraft. It's measured in deterrence. The main job of electronic warfare is to create a no-go zone, an area that is so electronically hostile and messy that an enemy pilot simply chooses not to enter it. And here's the perfect way to think about it. An electronic warfare system is like an electric fence. If a thief doesn't even try to get into your yard, it doesn't mean the fence is broken. It means the fence is working perfectly. The very fact that F-35s are forced to attack from hundreds of kilometers away is the proof that the electronic fence is working. It's forcing them to change their entire strategy. And on top of all that, the F-35 itself is just a ridiculously hard target to begin with. It doesn't just rely on GPS. It has its own inertial navigation system, so it always knows where it is. Its communication systems use these super-focused, pencil-thin data links that are almost impossible to jam unless you're literally right in their path. It's an electronic fortress. Okay, so we've busted the simple myths, but And this is a big but. That does not mean the F-35 is invincible. Oh no, because military engineers, they never stop thinking, and they have developed a terrifyingly real solution that gets around all the problems we've just talked about. The fundamental problem this whole time has been distance. That inverse square law is a tyrant. But what if you could find a way to cheat it? What if you could close that gap? And here it is. This is the paradigm shift. You stop setting a trap and hoping the F-35 flies into it. Instead, you build a weapon that actively hunts the F-35 down. And this is the kill chain that represents the real threat. First, a stealth drone is launched into the stratosphere, and it just waits. It loiters up there, just listening. The moment it detects an F-35's radar signal, it dives. Hypersonic speed. It closes that massive distance in seconds, not to hit the jet, but just to get inside that 500-meter kill box before it detonates its EMP. The result is a perfect kill. The laws of physics are finally on the attacker's side. Billions of volts of electricity are unleashed at point-blank range, and the jet's electronics are fried instantly. The plane simply falls out of the sky, without a single scratch on its airframe. So let's bring this all together. After all of that, what's the big takeaway here? The crucial thing to remember is that there are no magic weapons. Real-world military tech isn't about some Hollywood spectacle. It's a relentless, high-stakes chess match. Every weapon has a weakness rooted in physics, and every defense inspires a new countermeasure built on strategy. Which brings us to the final, lingering question. This hypersonic EMP loitering munition, it really seems like the ultimate checkmate. But in this game, there's always another move. So what will be the counter to this nightmare weapon? And what will come after that? That is the question that keeps defense engineers up at night.